Welcome to my channel. Subscribe to this channel. New stories every day. Let's get started. Title: Crossroads of Trust. I never imagined that after 15 years of marriage, I'd find myself questioning everything about my relationship with Laura. We met in college, fell in love over late-night study sessions and cheap pizza, and built a life together that I thought was unshakable. We have a beautiful 12-year-old daughter named Emily, who has always been the glue that holds us together, especially when my job takes me away from home for weeks at a time. Working as a project manager for a construction firm in a neighboring state isn't easy. The long hours and extended stays away from home have been tough, but Laura and I managed to keep our bond strong through constant communication, daily calls, video chats, and text messages filled with inside jokes and updates about Emily's latest adventures. But over the past 6 months, something changed. Laura became distant, her messages shorter and less frequent. When I did manage to catch her on the phone, our conversations felt forced, filled with awkward silences that never used to be there. I chalked it up to the monotony of daily life, or perhaps the stress of raising a preteen on her own most of the time. I tried not to overthink it. One weekend, I decided to surprise Emily with a trip to the local water park. It was one of those rare Texas afternoons where the heat was bearable, and the lines weren't outrageously long. As we floated along the lazy river, Emily seemed quieter than usual. "Everything okay, kiddo?" I asked, giving her a gentle nudge with my inner two. She hesitated, staring at the ripples in the water. "Dad, what's going on with you and Mom?" I raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" She bit her lip, a clear sign she was nervous. "It's just, you both seem different. Mom's been acting weird, and I thought maybe you knew why." My heart skipped a beat. Weird how? Emily looked around to make sure no one was listening. "Well, the other day, I went to Mom's office to surprise her, so we could walk home together. When I got there, she was with this guy from work, Frank. He's younger, maybe in his late 20s. They seemed really close." "Close how?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. They were laughing and talking, and when they saw me, they both got super quiet. Frank offered to walk us home, and Mom said it was okay. He's been over the house a few times too. Mom told me not to mention it to you, because you might get the wrong idea. Emily's eyes welled up with tears. "I don't want to keep secrets from you, Dad." I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. "It's okay, Emily. You can tell me anything." She wiped her eyes. They'd gone out together, just the two of them. One time, they left me at Grandma's and went away for the weekend. Mom said it was a work trip, but I don't think it was. I took a deep breath, trying to process what she was telling me. "Do you have a picture of Frank?" She nodded, pulling out her phone. He was tagged in one of Mom's photos on social media. She showed me a photo of a clean-cut guy with a charming smile, the kind you'd see in a tech startup advertisement. He didn't look threatening, but that only made me more uneasy. "Thanks for telling me, Emily. I'm glad you did." "Are you mad at me?" she asked softly. "Of course not," I assured her. "You did the right thing." That evening, after dropping Emily off at a friend's house for a sleepover, I sat in my parked car outside a coffee shop, contemplating my next move. Part of me wanted to confront Laura immediately, but I needed more information. I decided to pay Frank a visit. I found him the next day at a trendy downtown cafe, thanks to a little social media sleuthing. He was sitting alone at a table near the window, typing away on his laptop. "Mind if I join you?" I asked, pulling out the chair across from him before he could answer. He looked up, startled. "Sure. Do I know you?" "I'm Michael, Laura's husband." A flicker of panic crossed his face before he composed himself. "Oh, right. Laura's mentioned you." "I'll bet she has." He closed his laptop slowly. "Is there something I can help you with?" I leaned forward, keeping my gaze steady. "I want to know what's going on between you and my wife." He swallowed hard. "Look, man, Laura and I are just friends. We work together. That's all. Friends who visit my home when I'm not there, who go on weekend trips together and ask my daughter to keep secrets from me." He shifted uncomfortably. "I didn't know she asked Emily to keep it a secret. That's not cool." "No, it's not. So I'm going to ask you one more time. What's going on?" He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Okay, look. Laura and I have gotten close over the past few months. She confided in me about how lonely she's been, with you being away so much. But nothing physical has happened between us. I swear." I clenched my jaw. "Whether or not that's true, Your relationship with her is inappropriate. I understand, he said quickly. If it helps, I'll cut off contact with her. I stood up. That would be a good start. When I returned home, Laura was in the kitchen preparing dinner, the aroma of her famous lasagna filling the air. It used to be my favorite. Hey, honey. She greeted me with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. How was the water park? Emily had fun, I replied curtly. That's good. I took a seat at the kitchen island, watching her move around the kitchen. We need to talk. She paused, her hand hovering over the spice rack. About what? About Frank. Her shoulders tensed. What about him? I know you've been seeing him outside of work. Emily told me everything. She turned to face me, her expression a mix of fear and defiance. Michael, it's not what you think. Then what is it? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been having an affair. Her eyes filled with tears. We're just friends. I was lonely, and he was someone to talk to. That's all. Friends who go away for weekends together, who spend time at our house when I'm not here. She wiped her eyes angrily. I needed someone, Michael. You're never home. I feel like a single parent most of the time. I've been working to provide for this family. You know that. It's not just about the money. She snapped. Emily is growing up without her father around, and I'm forgotten. I took a deep breath, trying to control my frustration. So your solution is to replace me? That's not fair, she whispered. Nothing happened between us. Do you expect me to believe that? She looked down at the floor. I don't know what to say. Maybe we should get a divorce, I said coldly, testing her reaction. Her head snapped up, eyes wide. No, please, Michael, don't say that. I don't want that. Then what do you want, Laura? Because I can't keep living like this, not knowing what's going on in my own home. She crossed the room and reached for my hand. I want us to fix this. I realize now that I made a mistake, that I should have talked to you instead of shutting you out. I pulled my hand away. It's a little late for that, don't you think? Please, she pleaded, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry. I'll do whatever it takes to make this right. I looked at her, the woman I had loved for so many years, feeling the mixture of anger and sadness. I need time to think. Over the next few weeks, Laura made every effort to mend our relationship. She was attentive, affectionate, and went out of her way to include me in every aspect of her life. She even suggested couples therapy, which we started attending once a week. But despite her efforts, I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. Every time I looked at her, I saw her with Frank. Every time Emily mentioned something innocuous about school or her friends, I wondered what else she might be hiding. One evening after Emily had gone to bed, Laura and I sat on the back porch, the warm summer air heavy with unspoken words. Michael, she began softly, I know things have been hard between us, but I need to know if you can forgive me. I stared out into the darkened yard. I honestly don't know. She reached for my hand again, and this time I let her hold it. I miss us, she whispered. I miss us too, I admitted, but I don't know how to get back to where we were. Maybe we can't go back, she said, her voice barely audible, but we can start over. I looked at her, searching her eyes for any sign of deceit. All I saw was sincerity and regret. Starting over isn't easy, I said. No, it's not, but I'm willing to try if you are. I sighed, the weight of the past few months pressing down on me. I need to know one thing. Did anything physical happen between you and Frank? She shook her head emphatically. No, I promise you, it never went that far. Why should I believe you? Because I have no reason to lie now. I've seen what keeping secrets does. It nearly destroyed us. I considered her words, wanting desperately to believe her. If I find out you're lying. You won't, she said firmly. I ended all contact with him. He actually came by the office to say goodbye. He's transferring to another branch. Good, I replied, though it offered little comfort. Over the next few months, we continued therapy and made a conscious effort to rebuild our trust. I reduced my travel as much as possible, taking on projects closer to home. Laura started being more open about her feelings, and we found ourselves reconnecting in ways we hadn't in years. One Saturday morning, as we were making breakfast together, Emily bounded into the kitchen. Guess what? She exclaimed, grinning from ear to ear. What is it? Laura asked, smiling at her enthusiasm. I got the lead in the school play. That's fantastic, I said, pulling her into a hug. Laura joined the embrace. We're so proud of you. As we stood there, The three of us wrapped in a family hug. I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe we could find our way back after all. That evening, after Emily had gone to bed, Laura and I sat on the couch, a comfortable silence between us. "Thank you for giving us another chance," she said quietly. I looked at her, the love of my life, and nodded. "I think we're worth fighting for." She leaned her head on my shoulder. "I promise to never take us for granted again. I promise to be more present," I replied. We sat there for a long time, the past slowly fading into the background as we looked toward the future. Epilogue. It's been a year since that tumultuous time in our lives. Laura and I continue to work on our marriage, attending therapy, and keeping our lines of communication open. Emily is thriving. Her performance in the school play was a hit, and she's already talking about pursuing theater in high school. I won't say that everything is perfect. Trust takes time to rebuild, and there are days when doubts creep back in. But we're committed to our family and to each other. To anyone reading this, wondering what to do when trust is broken, I offer this advice. Listen to your heart, but don't ignore your instincts. Healing is possible if both parties are willing to put in the work. Our journey is far from over, but for the first time in a long time, I feel optimistic about where we're headed.